shut up, you listen to my monkey mouth. There's a companion when you got pun on the canoa route. Hopped in a portal and got in a fight, Elias knocked him out. Bow, Naruto fighting style. Bow, UFC he tapped out. Bow, we win, we get crowned. Monkey mouth, monkey mouth, monkey mouth, monkey mouth.
Them Portal Boys be podcasting. This is Joshua.
And this is Elias.
And on this episode, we're going to be covering Season 6, Episode 5 of Rick and Morty, entitled Final DeSmithation.
Yeah.
What a fucking tongue twister. I knew whenever I read it the very first time that I was going to fumble.
It's just gonna trip
right
you up.
there. And
Yeah.
like, it doesn't matter how many takes I give it. I was going to fumble that. So we're just going to one take Timmy or whatever, man. But Season 6, Episode 5 of Rick and Morty, entitled Final DeSmithation.
So did you ever watch the movies?
The Final Destination movies?
Yeah.
I think I saw 1 and 2.
Yeah, I think those are the best ones, though, right?
I don't know.
After it gets a little,
I can't speak on it after that.
I've seen them pretty much all, I think, except for the 3D one.
I know the one where the logs fell off the
Yeah,
back
it's
of
the first one. Oh, no, it's the second one, I think.
And then there's one where at the end of the movie, he's like, well, who's next? And like a thing swings from out of camera and kills him.
That's part one, whenever the sign comes down and like...
Yeah. So I've seen 1 and 2.
Yeah, I love them. Like, that's as scary as I got as a kid when it comes to like horror movies with like Final Destination.
Oh, bro. You know what the scariest movie I ever tried to watch as a child was?
What's that now?
The Thing.
Oh, yeah, that's great. That's John Carpenter's like peak, you know?
Bro, whenever that fucking dog in the beginning splits open, bro, and starts shooting tentacles and shit everywhere.
I said John Carpenter, but I actually meant what's his name from Rick and Morty, the Cronenberg universe. So that's like that Cronenberg creepiness that they always talk about. That's the thing.
I know that I couldn't watch that movie till I was like 13 or 14 years old. It was like way too scary for me.
So there's like a kind of like a theory that the dog is the person to watch in that entire movie, because he tells you who the thing is, and at the very end you don't know if he's either growling at the main character or what's going on, but there's like a certain part where you're supposed to kind of pay attention to him to find out if you know who in that particular part is the actual.
That was like a subtle thing they worked in that they never really like communicated.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
Like if you were picking up on it, you could pick up on it.
Yeah, exactly.
If you were a dog person, you'd have seen it.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's funny. I love that the episode started with the literal, like, a pretty good little zinger with Jerry calling, that's some good chow mein.
Chow mein.
And he's like, and if that sounds racist, that's how the members of the staff said it.
Yeah.
Like, bro.
Or that's how they would say it. And
he was like, no, that's how the member of the staff said it. And Beth was like, bro,
that guy's
the
from
waiter's
Denver.
from Portland.
Portland, yeah.
Like, this not, don't take how he calls it the rule of law. Like, come on.
Which, by the way, man, I had Panda Express. Like, if I'm ever gonna say the words mid as like an unironic 35-year-old, that's like mid.
Honestly, bro, that makes me kind of disrespect your opinion on food.
Panda Express?
Because Panda Express is not mid, bro. Panda Express is like way below mid.
Okay, well then I'm glad I'm saying mid wrong then, because to me I thought mid was just like, instead of it being like supposed to be middle, that's like just trash. But I guess it's mid.
It's not mid. I've had mid Chinese food and I've had really good Chinese food, and like, bro, they fall like way low on the scale. They'd be in the middle of the pack, right? And like, bro, who is worse?
Oh, I don't know anything.
Tell me who makes worse Chinese.
That's what I don't know
Panda
anybody
Express.
except for maybe there's a restaurant in between, in Pflugerville or like Round Rock area. I mean, that's in between a Goodwill and a laundromat, and I'm not gonna say the name, but like definitely like C and D star, like D and F food ratings. You know.
I know that there was a spot that I would go that was in San Marcos.
Yeah.
I think it's like Fujian Buffet. And they always advertise like a $7 buffet. And this is, years ago, so it's not like as bad as it would be today.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
But like $7.99, $6.99 buffet, you knew it was gonna be kind of sus. Bro, it was the worst. It was like they just boiled the meat.
Yeah.
It was It was gross.
And then just hoping it would take on any other flavor that it may have tried to throw at it.
It was gross in several ways. Like, the texture was bad, the flavors were bad, everything was bad.
Like
even the like fried foods that you would think they couldn't screw up, like egg rolls and
wontons and stuff like that.
Yeah, that type of shit. Even those were really bad. It was like I couldn't believe how bad it was.
There was
like this day I still am like shocked. I won't go to low budget Chinese food restaurants to this day because of the experience I had there.
There was like a TikTok influencer guy, because now I'm paying more attention to that, where he said only eat at Chinese buffets if they're 7.5, not 9, not 8.5, 7.5, because it usually means that it's just staff related, So like if it's just staff related, it usually just means that like, oh, it was just like poor experiences at staff. And so then he went into Yelp and like kind of like talked about his idea and then put a little bit of like, evidence to it. And so he goes on there and he's looking at all the 7.5 reviews in this area, and it's all like staff was terrible, food was amazing, staff was very rude, food was amazing,
So that's like you're getting the OG Chinese like
you're getting like
super don't give a shit. It reminds me of like a Szechuan back in the day.
Oh yeah, man.
Bro, the ladies at Szechuan were sweet though. Well, isn't it like a Mas Fajitas over there now?
Yeah, I think that's what it's been like. I think it was. They've completely knocked down the Szechuans to put that thing up.
Yeah, they paved paradise, put up a parking lot.
Yeah.
But Rick lands outside and like is clearly pissed. He doesn't even close the door to his car. Walks in and asks,
"Would you have to close the door to a murder machine?"
No. I mean, it's gonna keep itself safe. Yeah, exactly. You better believe it. But Rick confronts the members of the house about who changed his ringtone to the taxi theme.
And so Summer and Morty are like they've developed a really good bond on this episode. Kind of takes me back to whenever they were brothers and sisters doing it together with the whole Genes episode to take down the Galactic Federation.
I love how real it is because they're brought together through the common thread of talking shit.
Yeah, and so the first one was adding it from a taxi TikTok or TikTok's taxis for teens.
It's taxi talk.
Taxi talk that makes it so that now teens think that the taxi theme song slaps.
Yeah, it's a TikTok group for teens who think that the taxi theme slaps. And it turns out that like the family is going to be going to the zoo tomorrow through some form of like exposition or another. It's revealed they're going to the zoo tomorrow.
Yeah.
And they tell Jerry not to eat the animal food again. Apparently he
says that it's one of his two top favorite things that he loves to do, but gives him diarrhea. He said that the theme parks give him diarrhea because of the food that he eats, and then he said that the zoo also gives him diarrhea because of the food that he eats. And they're like, "Yo, like that, Dad, that's for the zebras. That's not for human consumption." Which
at the end of the whole episode, they showed us the the advertisement that was on loop inside the gift shop, and
talking about like not to eat the zebra food, like to say like it's for zebras. And then they're like,
but it literally shows them eating the food.
That rips off a guy's face, like tears off a guy's face.
That whole scene at the end is utter chaos.
And then Morty has like a realization that they are the zoo.
Now, why would they be offering the zoo? Why would they be offering the food for the animals in here unless the zebras shop in here? Or wait, no, we're in the zoo. It's a people zoo, and he like pieces it together.
Yeah.
So they all crack open and eat their fortune cookies at the end of the meal.
And Summer tells them how to correctly do it, which I've never done it that way. But you have to eat the cookie before you read it, or it doesn't come.
The correct way is to turn the cookie into dust while it's still in the package, and then open the package and carefully extract the fortune while it's all dust inside the package, and then you read the fortune. Say it's something like you will experience great success, and you finish in bed. Yeah. Exactly. That's the only proper way to actually do a fortune cookie per every Texan that I've ever. I mean, like, you were able to finish my sentence.
Yeah.
I thought that was maybe just some white people shit.
No, it's like an everybody.
But then again, you're also the most you're like the most Caucasian Spanish fella
I am pretty Caucasian.
Yeah, you lean on the white with a hard white on the white side of things.
I've been known to eat mayonnaise.
Oh my god, it's an aioli. Okay, I put garlic in it.
I love that TikTok, by the way.
Well, what the fuck you're talking about?
Oh shoot, there's such a great TikTok about that where this guy goes and he makes like a garlic aioli, and that guy's like, I don't like mayonnaise. And so he steps to the back like he's a chef, and he comes back and he goes, this is garlic mayonnaise. And he's like, oh, I don't eat mayonnaise. Goes to the kitchen, comes back and goes, I apologize, sir. I've whipped you up a garlic aioli. And he goes, oh, man, aioli sounds so fancy. And he's like eating it. And it's just like...
I would never understand that reference. I'm glad that you were able to explain it. I was watching a cooking show, and one of the guys was explaining that basically... He could brand something that he was regularly preparing as a gastrique and charge an extra $6 on the menu for it.
That's so great.
That's such a crude thing. You can't say that on camera, bro. You're on national TV. You can't be giving away industry secrets like that, bro.
He's giving away the goddamn business. What is that? Who is that again? From WWE? You should know.
Giving away the goddamn business. Is that a new thing?
No, that's like old school WWE.
Shit. Well, I mean, old school is WWF.
Well, WWF.
Fuck those goddamn pandas.
I can't think of his name, but he was one of the commentaries on WWF.
Yeah, I mean, I still don't so there was Jerry the King Lawler.
Yeah, that's who it is, Jerry the King Lawler.
And what was the thing that you said he would say?
He goes. Oh, I'm sorry, I said it wrong. He goes, you're exposing the goddamn business.
I don't remember.
That's whenever people would break kayfabe and start talking about how stuff was fake and there was like heels and.
Yeah, so I guess I never watched any of the interviews on it. Like I only watched the actual show, and he never said that on Monday Night Raw.
Yeah.
That was
more like it would always be like, that man's got a family.
By God.
By God.
By God. JR. That guy's a low key like owner. He owns like a significant portion of the company.
That's just good. That's just getting in while the getting's good.
Yeah,
right?
that's just ground floor shit. But
reading those reading those buff tea leaves from Vince McMahon.
Dude, Vince McMahon's a dog. That's a whole other conversation.
He's a monster.
Hey, that's my dude. You don't run a ship like the WWE and not have some skeletons in the closet. So I am mad at the man is the God's honest truth. I haven't looked into what he's done, but like with where I'm sitting right now, I am mad at Vince McMahon. Like I expect that guy to be a complete maniac. But so goddamn, we are getting nowhere in this episode.
Yeah, we are, man. We're getting everywhere, man. We talked about the...
There is nothing that's gone on. We're literally still in the opening scene. We haven't even gotten to the fucking front credits yet.
That's because it's such a great episode. There's so much to chew on the first, like, literal...
Mikey, we're 13 minutes into this podcast. We haven't even gotten past the fucking front credits, my dude.
That's all right, man. No, let's cut through it.
We're killing it. We're killing it. What the fuck was I even gonna say?
So we were basically saying that, as you know, they talk about Jerry talks about. I said about the way to eat a cookie properly.
Yeah, and so Jerry gets his fortune.
Yeah,
and his fortune is that he's gonna have sex with his mother.
And everyone around him gets a basic one.
Yeah,
like, they get like you'll do good at or like you'll have a good day at work, or
the type of shit that you would expect to find in a fortune cookie.
Exactly, and he gets this one that's like out of left field and talking about how you're gonna, and he says it out loud because he's like. He's so childlike. He's just so excited just to read the fortune.
Oh, he reads it like it's not something audacious to be on a fortune cookie.
Yeah.
He reads it like, you're going to make a new friend this week, except it's, I'm going to fuck my mother. Yeah, it's classic.
I'm glad I like it because that'd be a great, like, when we get an Apple, when we get a drop machine, I'm going to have to cut that out and then just use it as a drop.
Oh yes, yeah. I know the sound machine.
I can't wait.
Yeah. So that night, Jerry's like completely bothered by this fortune, and he goes to throw up. He goes to throw the fortune cookie up so that it can undo. Right, like
he asked Beth, and Beth is so tired and could completely couldn't care anymore. Could care less.
She's like, sure, dude, just don't teach that to our daughter. And he can't throw up, and he goes, Sleepy Gary ruined my gag reflex, and that sucks because Sleepy Gary isn't even real. And bro, how hard you got to be getting throat fucked by Sleepy Gary for you to not be able to force yourself to throw up anymore?
And on top of that, like, what was he doing in the time to ruin his gag reflexes since it was all imaginary?
Yeah, well, I mean, I think that there's like a certain degree where like it's a real memory.
Yeah,
it's a real memory that he possesses. And so he. They were. Yeah, I mean, so you can learn things from memories, and so he learned how to avoid gagging in those memories. You know what I'm saying?
Those boat scenes were like romantic. I guess he was just.
Oh, there were definitely some nasty scenes that we didn't get to see. Those two definitely got to clapping cheeks. Jerry's gag reflex is fucked. Let me tell you, okay? The family can't... So, the next, like, morning, right? It's like lunchtime.
Well, there's a countdown, though. Like there's a... Yeah, the next morning there's a countdown to the zoo, right? They're eating breakfast.
Oh, yeah. Well, so, again, they're at the breakfast table or whatever, lunch table, and they're all just cracking jokes about how Jerry is, like, making it a bigger deal than he is. And
this is, again...
His mom's blowing him up because
Morty
he's ghosting her.
And Summer coming together...
Clowning.
To torment their dad about the fact that he's going to have sex with his mom.
Yeah. And so, basically, you said Beth gives him the hour ultimatum. She's like, dude, you got an hour. You need to be over this. He's like, I'm not even thinking about it no more. And the very next scene is him literally duct taping his dick down.
And Summer saying something, was recording it and being like, well, say something about this for my TikTok followers.
Yeah, I mean, Summer and Morty ganged up, walk in there and just clowning him for doing this dumbass shit.
And he tapes from his dick to his taint, and then he also is running around because he's trying to get away from just the thought of it. I think he's like, he tosses his phone because they send him a
make a meme.
Yeah, they make a meme with like her head on
some sexy body.
Yeah, and then he's trying to get away from his phone, so he like tosses it, runs into the closet, and there's like a scarecrow mom in there, and they literally are holding the door shut and have it set positioned perfectly so when he inevitably runs in the back, it'll actually fall in his lap.
Yeah, I mean, he's got a doll version of his mom basically sucking his dick in the closet, and the kids are forced. They won't let him out.
They won't let him out, and he's like literally having a mental breakdown in there.
Jerry's having a real hard time with it, and it comes time for them to leave, and Jerry dresses up like Morty because Beth is Morty's mom. And I love how even Morty's like,
I'm not gonna unpack this. Yeah,
I'm not even gonna spend the time on that one, man.
And Space Beth is like takes a 30, like gets a little cameo in this. So she's like, I don't even wait this long for you're making me wait long for a zoo I don't even care about. This is an Earth zoo. I don't even wait this long for like a cosmic style, you know.
Yeah, this is a mundane thing for me. Yeah. If you think I have patience for this level of mundanity, you are very wrong.
Yeah, and so they're like trying to get out of there as soon as possible, and that's when he hits him. Rick hits him with a probability ray.
He says.
Well, yeah, of course, but I'm just saying, like, that's to move the plot forward. He says that he hits him with a probability ray, and that the probability, like, there's some hinky stuff going on this side that could actually make the cookie more significant, so he wants him to stay. And that's enough for Beth to just let it go and be like, okay, well, you can stick around and try and figure this out. And he actually comes to, like, this really, like, I mean, he definitely gives Jerry some slack, 'cause he's like, these people were bullying you. I don't like bullies. I'm not going to make, like, I don't want to go, so why am I going to let them bully you into doing something you don't want to do?
He's like, and you also have a right to take whatever you want seriously. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. I think he literally said, you have a right to take whatever silly shit you want to take seriously.
Which is great, man. That just kind of gives, like, it's allowing him to have his own autonomy that's not tied to, like,
I just think it's fun that Rick's a real one, even whenever it comes to Jerry. Yeah. Like, he's got his principles, and he knows what's right and wrong and how you're supposed to live in his mind.
Yeah.
And like if that means helping out a Jerry here and there, it means helping out a Jerry here and there. You know?
So he hits him now with the actual probability gun.
Yes, and he's able to determine that something's up. And so they decide to figure out what's going on with efficient brute force with the dick in the box experiment.
And so Jerry's not about to do this. He's like, can I just point at the box I would put my dick into? And he goes, somehow that's worse, but go ahead.
And they basically several times in a row, way too many times in a row, he picks the box that his mom's in.
And he's like, Jesus Christ, Jerry, are you peeking? And he's like, why are you asking? What does this mean? You're scaring me.
Is this freaking me out? Yeah. And so Rick at this point decides that there's something going on, and that he needs to go and assess the situation. And
so he assumes that like the people who are running that Panda Express have some sort of interest in him, because he's not the father-in-law in this. He goes, if you think I'm the father-in-law in this story, you're like sorely mistaken. They clearly want to get to the Big Daddy, so like let's go back to where this began.
And so they go to Panda Express and they have this big fight. And it turns out that the kids have put the Taxi theme on Rick's favorites playlist as the number one track on his favorites playlist. And
he's like, there is no wrong answers.
He just rolls with the punches and murders the fuck out of a whole bunch of Panda Express employees who are actually gang members running a citywide meth circuit. And like they all thought he was with the DEA, and so they just like started shooting at him, and so Rick just ran through everybody. And
two guys are like two maybe three guys are left, and he's like, yo man, you just like exposed our business. We don't know who you are. And he's like, oh man, I'm sorry.
Well, what happens is one of them's like, DEA motherfucker, and Rick's like, give me the fortune cookies. And they both kind of stop and was like, wait, I'm not DEA. And they're like, wait, you want fortune cookies? And they have this like impasse where they realize that neither of them are fighting the person they thought they were fighting, and they immediately call a truce.
And it becomes like this kind of quiet kinship where they can kind of laugh. And he's like, hey, sorry about those dead guys. He's like, comes with the territory. And they kind of have like this chuckle about like how like they both know that they both live dangerous lives. And he's like, I'll take your cookie van in exchange for not turning you in. Yeah. But the best part is when they were giving Jerry so much shit about like actually having the fortune cookie of fucking his mom, he goes to, oh no, I'm sorry, that's afterwards, right? That is afterwards. So this is after.
I don't know what you're saying. I don't know.
He's going when they take the fortune cookie van and they find out where the fortune cookie is coming from, so you can take it from there.
Well, one of my favorite lines from that whole experience that transpired inside the Panda Express is whenever Rick tells them, break the laws, they shouldn't exist anyways.
Yeah. And they have a good chuckle.
Yeah, Rick's always a bandit. That's my dude. Like that's my guy. Felon on the daily.
He's like so you don't care about us like making methamphetamine? And he's like, no, I don't.
No, break the law. They shouldn't exist. And so they take the truck back to Fortune Cookie headquarters, and of course it's like way too high tech.
And so this is the part where I'm talking about, where he says, well, who do you think runs this? And he goes, I don't know. Probably a cookie monster.
Yeah.
And Jerry's not like laughing. He goes, come on, Jerry. I know this is a serious moment, but you should at least try and have a sense of humor.
It's like he's too overprotective of his cookies, man. Come on. So.
Just so great. This is one of the best episodes.
It is really a fantastic episode. And Rick uses like a robot eye, and it like swoops around and looks at everything.
Yeah, this is where we get kind of like a good resurgence of his like mods, because you haven't seen him use his mods too much.
Yeah.
So this is definitely a cool little call back to him getting body modifications, and so with his extended out eye, he sees cameras, right?
Yeah, and so he basically determines right then that they need to blend in, and so he goes, Aya Thundara, give me suits beyond suits. And a suit just like with like nanobots encompass his body, and then a suit materializes.
And then he says, and Jerry is kind of still in his same like same whatever clothes he was wearing, lack of clothing that he was wearing, and he says basically like calls upon the Sailor Moon setup for them to transition from their normal clothes to the Sailor Moon clothes.
Yeah, I mean, but to make a long story short, Jerry goes through a reusable Sailor Moon sequence to get dressed.
And not even as Rick's secretary. So it's a clipboard, a standard green sweater, and like some khakis.
Yeah, it's just like a slightly variated form of his typical ensemble.
Exactly.
And so, like you said, he's using his mods, and he's using his mods to get through the situation with the path of least resistance, right? Like he's not just fighting his way through. He's kind of like stealthing his way through and being like a 007 spy guy with it. And he, at one point, scans the wall and it makes it so that he can blend in with the wall, so the bad guys walk right past him.
Yeah, the like visual representation of what his suit can do. And it's like one of them is like clearly like maybe brute force, some sort of weapon, and then the centerpiece where the one that he picks is a pawn. Like a chess piece, so he can kind of blend in with the background, you know?
Yeah, exactly. And so they wind up stumbling across a seminar with all the big names, Jeff Bezos, everybody.
Yeah, and even one of them was the Billy Zane, which if you know anything about Billy Zane, he was like one of the first Marvel superheroes. He was Phantom.
I don't even know who Billy Zane is.
You ever seen, I know you had to have liked Tales from the Crypt as a kid, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so he was known for doing like the large budget Tales from the Crypt. What is it? Demon Knights. That's what he's known for. Oh, and Titanic. He's one of the people in Titanic.
He's one of the people in Titanic?
The movie.
Like one of the actors?
Yeah, he's like...
What role did he play? Because all I remember is Leonardo DiCaprio and that girl.
Yeah, he's basically the one who throws the jewel into the ocean. The one she was with on the Titanic. The one that Rose was with on the Titanic.
Oh, so the cuck. He's the boat cuck.
Well, I guess kind of, yeah. He definitely gets he tries to kill the Leonardo DiCaprio character.
Oh, does he?
Yeah.
Damn, so not only is he a cuck, but he's a bad killer.
Yeah.
He's not any good at killing.
Yeah.
But so Rick sees the seminar, and it's being basically conducted by Gwyneth Paltrow Chunt.
Yeah.
And it culminates with her. She says that she drags her vagina across Chinese silver grass every morning.
She's like, "'Cause I'm tight and ready to."
Sometimes the bottom line is it's all over the top.
And so it's essentially making fun of Goop. You're out of this world, so you're not in. Let me bring the red pill in here to tell you. So it's basically making fun of Goop, which is Gwyneth Paltrow's company that's basically it's like semi-spiritual. She got in trouble because she was telling women to stick like jade rocks up their pussies and then come to find out that jade rock is super porous, so it was actually making girls sick. She made a candle that smells like her vagina.
Well, so there is polished jade that looks almost like an emerald, and then that's like a rock that is, like you said, porous. So it's like she had fancy jade, and the poor people were using poor people jade.
Yeah, exactly. And so she
not knowing what's going on.
Goop has a vagina candle that smells like her vagina.
What the fuck?
Yeah, there's a candle out there that smells like Gwyneth Paltrow's vagina.
Why doesn't our studio smell like that?
You smell the candle before you make your decision that you want a whole room.
No, bro, I'm buying that. This place is gonna smell like Gwyneth Paltrow's pussy.
So they
got a Mila Kunis version of that?
I don't think so.
I need a Mia Khalifa version of that. I
collect them all.
Yeah, I would just have all the pussy smells going all at once.
It'd be like
just smell like an orgy in this bitch every time, except no wiener, just all the fancy Hollywood pussies.
It'd be like, okay, so with your 10th vagina candle, you get a free, who's like, I don't know, I'm trying to think of somebody. Anyways, you get some sort of guy's candle.
You get a wiener candle?
You get a wiener candle.
I don't want that wiener candle. You shove that wiener candle up your booty.
You let old Jerry take care of that wiener candle. He ain't got no gag reflex yet.
He does not have any more gag reflex.
So
Jerry's mom keeps getting closer,
and she's constantly texting him throughout the episode,
sending him pictures of her landing at the airport.
That smells like a playground or a kindergarten. So he says something that was very creepy.
Oh, there's a Wolfgang Puck restaurant at the airport that smells like a kindergarten.
Yeah, that was definitely a weird. I don't know what that was about.
Maybe one of the creators went to a Wolfgang Puck restaurant and it smelled like a kindergarten. I don't know.
That was a weird one. And then there was like, I need you. And he's like, oh, that was during the shootout. She put, I need you. And he's like panicking. And he's like, ugh. And she's like, to pick me up at the airport. And he's like, oh, thank God. You know?
It's the whole dynamic of Jerry being extremely anxious about the prospect of potentially fucking his mom throughout the episode is beautiful.
It's hilarious. And so now they're in the seminar, right? She's talking about how, she's talking about her company and what it's doing and blah blah blah. They interact with each other, which is very Jurassic Park. Like, it reminded me of Jurassic Park when
hello me.
yeah, definitely.
So they wind up deciding that they're not going to get the answers that they're looking for at the seminar, and they decide to go deeper. And at that point, they see people in like a meeting, and they're all cracking open their fortunes, and they're getting like dank fortunes. Like one guy is going to get an 8.6% return annually. And one lady's going to get a corner office. Mm-hmm. And then it also shows one guy being like force-fed a bad fortune. I think it said that his penis was going to get mangled by a frozen yogurt machine at like
the UN.
At the UN.
And he's like, I know that yogurt machine. This is very probable for me. Anyone from the outside would think this is strange, but for me, it fits perfectly into.
It rings true.
It rings true. Yeah.
At this point, Rick realizes that it's real,
mm-hmm.
and that these people are controlling fate for profit, and that he at this point is prepared to end this. And Jerry suggests blowing up the building, but
he's like, "That's too simple. Like, let's get this so that we can harness this ability." And he's like, "You and me, us. You mean you?" And he's like, "Well, I would share." You're like, "I would."
Yeah, bullshit. They get run up on by a couple of agents who, upon seeing Rick bust out all his mods, eat emergency fortunes, and the first guy's emergency fortune is that he'll have great success in a fight, and all of Rick's gadgets fail immediately.
And so essentially,
Rick's like, "I'll be damned."
He's like, he says that, oh, these are specific to just getting out of jams. So now he knows that somehow, I mean, the fates can be bent in any particular way.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. He's seeing that it can be manipulated all over the place, and he actually winds up backing out of the situation, and he uses Jerry as a human shield. And I love how Jerry asks him what he's doing, even though he knows the answer to the question. He's like, "I'm using you as a human shield." It's like, "That's the thing I thought you were gonna do. Like, I didn't like that." And he's like, "You are officially, like, you're immortal because you haven't fulfilled your destiny yet. So now you're literally immortal. I can put you in front of these bullets and nothing's gonna happen." And so he's asking him about, or he's telling him about things that he hates. And he's like, instead of complaining about the things that you hate in the abstract, can you complain about things you hate here, which is crawling through an air vent? So he's like telling him, like, just focus on the here and now instead of like complaining about things that we aren't legitimately going through right now. I don't necessarily remember that conversation too well, but I know that they definitely went through the vents, and the vents lead them to the actual fortune cookie production chamber. And, I mean, the fortune cookies are literally the alien shit from what Rick refers to as a Lockerian. Yeah, and they travel...
or they eat.
Well, so this particular one has a digestive disorder.
Yeah.
That bends reality towards possible realities, and basically he explains that fate is a field like gravity, and that it's basically putting out pockets of denser fate, which is leading, like it's whatever field it is, it's creating denser pockets of it, and it's bending reality towards those potential outcomes.
And this thing basically eats people's. Or it eats probability. And
I don't remember what it was eating. I just know that the things that it shits out are literally bending reality towards the possibilities that it's that are being attributed to its shits.
Yeah, and so Jerry and Jerry and Rick come across the person who's been taking care of this.
It's like old MacGuffin character.
And he kind of has a similar of a thing like the old gold miner kind of feel to it, where he kind of talks in this like, oh well, he kind of like has this like very gold miner kind of like there's gold in them hills kind of character.
Yeah, like I know what you're saying, like hillbilly-ish.
Yeah, exactly.
But not quite inbred.
Yeah, just this like and so. He tells them that like Jerry asks, well, why on God's green earth, if you could bend probability, would you do something like say that I'm gonna have sex with my mother instead of like another one? He goes, oh well, I tried to put one in there that said, you'll break your leg if you such and such, or if
you don't investigate this cookie company.
Yeah,
of a deadly virus will get out into the world if you don't investigate this company.
Yeah.
And it's like someone definitely broke a leg, and there definitely was a deadly virus that hit the world because no one investigated the fortune cookie companies.
And he's like, well, you're not the only one I sent this out to.
I sent a bunch out.
You're just the only one who investigated it further. And so it takes Jerry like 2 seconds, and he's like has to look over to Rick, and he's like, so what does that mean? And he's like, that means several people had sex with their mother. Like,
I imagine they all fucked their mothers.
Yeah.
It was so straightforward about it. Yeah. Like, no ifs, ands, or buts.
He's just like, so this show deals in fecal eating, attractions to mothers, and the funniest thing so far, which was a conversation we had at the Hookah Lounge with some stand-up comedians. I don't know how it particularly came up, but we discussed the 1996 game Echo that had to do with a dolphin that saves the planet or whatever, right? And it came from a weird story about a woman who was giving sexual favors to a dolphin so it could proceed forward in whatever kind of experiments it was doing. I think it was to speak English or any kind of language, and to understand the languages that it already spoke.
You're telling me a bitch was jacking off a dolphin so that it would do tricks for her?
Yes.
That's gross. That's criminal. That's literally criminal.
Well, that's why he said me and her have the same thing in common.
Yeah, well, so he definitely, at this point in the show, man, that's so criminal. God damn. I can't believe people.
Dude, it's a wild story,
it's
man.
So fucking crazy that's real.
It's out there. There's a whole article written about how this woman basically was molesting this dolphin.
That's crazy, bro. That's so crazy. Damn.
Goodbye, demonetization.
Damn, girl. I'm going to tell you right now, ladies, if you're ever so horny that you're prepared to commit sex acts on an animal, hit me up. Hit up Elias, bro. Hit up any of these like incels out here, bro.
Hit up an incel. I'm good.
Yeah, find an incel, bro. There's so many people who are like dying for pussy. Why would you ever need to give it up to a dolphin? Fuck you, whale. Fuck you, dolphin.
You ever seen the episode where Hank gets
insanity
gets raped by the dolphin?
No.
Oh,
that
man.
That sounds crazy.
So there's an episode of it where they flip the dolphin over on its stomach, and he rubs it a little bit too low, and it begins to blush under its stomach, and then it attacks him and basically holds him up against the glass and has its way with Hank Hill.
Oh my God, that's the most emasculating thing ever. He just got raped by a dolphin. Damn, Hank. You
say it ain't so.
Damn, Hank, you're having a hard time with that one, bro. I'm sorry. But damn, what the fuck just happened to my podcast? We started talking about all kind of shit. But so at this point, Gwyneth Paltrow Chunt kicks in the door. Armed guards surround them basically, and she brings in Jerry's mom, so that they can fuck.
It's like, take your mother to work day.
Yeah.
And then there she is, and she's like, why haven't you been answering any of my texts or getting back in contact with me? Luckily, this nice lady,
picked me up in a limousine.
Picked me up in a limousine. Oh, forgot about the best part is whenever he goes, Rick says something along the lines of, now let's hurry this up, basically saying that he's had sex with Jerry's mom. He goes, I want to make sure that me and you aren't the only one who has had sex with my mom. And he's like, well, it'd be just you because I already did. And he just goes pale and he's like, what? And he's like, again, man, like, you need to chill out about this.
You need to get you a little sense of humor, my dude.
Yeah.
And so to digress back to when Gwyneth and them kick in the door and they surround Rick and Morty, Rick hits her with she kind of gives us her backstory, and Rick hits her with the zinger that all white women think they can control their destiny.
Yeah.
And whenever she asks, who are you? Rick goes, how dare you?
He gets so pissed about it.
And I love that at the end she knew who he was.
Oh yeah, she knew who he was.
She absolutely knew who he was.
She says his name and he's I knew you.
It's as she's transforming into like Fortune Monster.
Yeah, she's basically eating like all of these like unclaimed destiny, like all this unclaimed like destiny.
And she does that after Rick basically takes out all the bad guys. And so she gives all the bad guys like special powers through like these destinies, right? Like one of them controls fire, one of them sticks to walls.
The other one, one of them pulls moisture out, so he controls water.
Yeah, controls water.
But he ends up pulling moisture out of one of his cohorts, one of the people on his team.
Yeah, he's like, wow. Rick goes, I wonder if I can Pokemon this shit, and literally like grabs the guy by the back of the neck and like points him at someone else and is like, do it or I'll kill you type shit. And he literally like sucks this fool dry to dust.
Yeah.
And Rick's like, that's a gross power.
And then the other one is literally spreading fire around. And then there's just like, I think he even like says his name. And he's like, he sticks to walls or he just sticks to surfaces. And he goes, I'm going to let you live because your power is so sad.
Yeah.
Like, it's just so depressing.
And then, so Rick gets his hands on a bunch of blank fortunes.
Yeah.
And so their effects are totally random. And he starts shooting these totally random destinies into people's mouths. Like turns people into sparrows.
One of them turns into a baby version of itself with even like a tiny riot hat and like tiny riot.
Yeah, but my favorite is that he turns one of them into like a T-Rex bot.
And he goes,
I am the son of God, and just runs through the wall, like exits stage right.
Man, this was such an amazing episode. Like, I swear, bangers all around this season, man, so far. Season 5 has been just filled with bangers.
Nothing but bangers. Before Gwyneth eats all the fortunes and turns into a monster bot, she reveals to Rick that she has an unresolved fortune and that it's to be the most successful businesswoman on the planet. And Rick easily takes care of that by hacking Goldman Sachs and by buying literally everything that she has to offer. And it makes her like super rich immediately, making her the most successful businesswoman on the planet. And then he immediately gives the money right back to Goldman Sachs because he sits neutral on the matter, and that he zings her saying that she looks like Leonardo DiCaprio whenever he won that award. Like he could see
he
could see on his face that like achieving his dream like that was an empty experience. And then at that point, she eats all the fortunes, turns into a monster, and Rick breaks the Lockerian free.
Yeah.
And this is the point where the old man who romanticized the wild animal and like realizes, oh man, I've been romanticizing a wild animal, just like the lady from the 1960s and that dolphin. And the monster
19 and 60s.
The monster opens its mouth and then 4 tentacle things come out and grab him by the arms and legs and their mouths as well, and they just rip him apart and suck him in.
You liked what he said, right? At the end, he goes, well. He basically says, "Well, I guess this is my fate," and he just kind of comes to terms with the fact that
bop the boop or something.
Yeah. He's like
something very
just
awkward, but he rolls with the punches, and so the Lockerian and the monster girl fight, and the Lockerian eats the monster girl, but she drops like a capsule.
Yeah, it's just like something,
and it explodes and it rips open this fucking hole in the probability space, like not a portal like time like with gravity. It's like a portal with like destiny, with
it's just
with fate, right? Like he said, he operates like a field, and they've got this just gouge ripped in it, and it sucks everything in, and the Lockerian gets sucked in it and kind of stuck in it, and Jerry's like getting sucked in, and he's like clearly about to like fall into his mom's waiting vagina.
Yeah, like to like move back or move before.
Blah, 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 blah.
She pushes her down a slope. The Gwyneth Paltrow character pushes her down a slope.
Oh, I'm so wet!
And her skirt rips open, and then she's like, "Oh, I'm so wet!" And then he's like, "Ah!" And he just like runs away. So as she's getting sucked into the probability black hole or purple hole, his pants get taken off by the probability.
Yeah, it rips his pants off.
And then it basically like...
It rips the skeleton out of it. Like the dude who's stuck on the wall.
Yeah.
Rick's like, man, I was wrong. Oh, shit. Oh, my God.
Like, out of his face. It doesn't even like rip it out like in like one... Like out of his body where it would be like just a skeleton just getting pulled out. It literally like gets pulled out of his head. Like,
yeah,
it's like the hardest force being pulled upon.
Yeah, it ripped out of his face, and then the face hole was the path of least resistance moving forward. And Rick's response was just like, oh my God.
And so he still has an unwritten fortune cookie on him.
Yeah.
And so he's able to get like this little biometric kind of creature.
I mean, he Deus Ex Machina's his way out of it. He's got a gadget.
What is it?
He's got a gadget that writes a fortune for Jerry that says no mom sex Jerry.
Yeah, and then still puts lottery numbers on it, which is hilarious.
And shoots it in his mouth with the same tech that he was shooting all the blank fortunes into the bad guys' mouths.
And by that he actually let he let the what was the creature's name again, or what was the
Lockerian?
Yeah, he let the Lockerian go through the probability black hole.
So now it's gone.
Yeah, essentially, like the whole reason why they stuck around is now gone. But he had it just enough time. He essentially he goes. Everybody got Jerry got what he wanted, and so did everybody else except for. Like, the only person who matters, which is myself. Like, we shouldn't celebrate this. This was a loss for me, even though everybody else got what they probably needed or wanted.
And I'm going to hold this over your head for life, which gets me absolutely nothing.
So, it cuts with Jerry and Jerry and Rick coming home, right? And he essentially tells him that he gives him like this fortune cookie that doesn't even have the fortune in the cookie. It has a piece of paper.
Just like crudely stuffed in there.
And he goes like, sorry if it looks like some person just put it on the top, but it was hastily made or whatever. And then he tells him.
It says thank you.
Thank you. And he calls him his friend, right?
And Rick immediately is like, bro, what made you think that I'm your friend? What the fuck? And at that point, Rick reveals that he had managed to acquire and hold on to one of the fortunes that said
that essentially he would the only way that like
you'll make a
new friend, and so he knew from that point if he never makes a new friend again, that he'd legitimately be
basically immortal.
Yeah.
Right.
So for 6 minutes or whatever he said, or
he was like that for that whole fight. I was basically immortal, and all I had to do was not make a friend.
And then
Jerry tries to take it back, and he's like, "Bro, all friendships come to an end, especially new ones."
He's like so he's like, well, that he goes, shouldn't it just be like, shouldn't it not count since you're not my friend? And he goes, that's not what the fortune said. He's like, every friendship comes to an end, even new ones. And so he goes, it doesn't work that way. And I think he slaps the shit out of him, right?
And Jerry, he slaps him, and Jerry's like, oh, and Rick even like apologizes. It's like, I'm sorry. And that's the end of the episode, and then we
stick around for 30 seconds.
Yeah, we do have at the end of the credits the scene where, like we discussed earlier, the advertisement in the gift shop of the zoo explaining, and Morty's like, I can see why my dad was confused about the zebra food.
Yeah, and there's like people ripping a woman rips a guy's face off.
I mean, a dude in a tiger suit stabs a guy.
Yeah,
shit gets crazy. But at any rate, what was your favorite part of the episode, man?
Oh my god, I think the favorite part of the episode was it seems a little funny and kind of quick, but where she's talking about her come up and she says, I was eating ramen out of the toilet in my parents' garage, and it literally shows her on her hands and knees with like a perfectly placed like ramen, like if you ever seen like pictures of like you like to do your ramen in kind of a pretty way. Mm-hmm. It's like literally like the mushrooms and the noodles and like it all placed perfectly, but her just like fishing it out of a shitter,
Yeah.
And I don't know why that just caught me so hard.
It was funny shit, dude.
Yeah, man. What about you, buddy? What was like your favorite part of this one?
Man, just the obscurity of how they were actually making the fortunes.
Oh yeah.
Like the way that it was a Lockerian that had a digestive issue that was causing all this weirdness, and the way that Rick kind of zinged Gwyneth Paltrow for basically, you think you're so clever, but really an alien just landed in your front yard and you ate its shit. Like just the whole obscurity of how like it gets so wild and random, and that's what I loved about it. This one is I
wonder if she's ever met
craziness.
Mr. What was the? It's not Principal Vagina that has the. It's the teacher.
Goldenfold.
I wonder if she's ever gotten in touch with Goldenfold, because they seem to like to eat shit. She's eating food she's eating cooked food, but she's eating ramen out of a toilet and eating alien shit. I wonder if she's ever had to run in with Goldenfold.
I think that they're both written by the same people who have a weird fixation with eating shit. And on the subject of eating shit, you guys eat shit. You fucking incels, pieces of garbage.
We wasted how much talking to these people, man?
Wasted way too much of my life. These people on the internet don't deserve my time. Y'all don't deserve my time. That's enough. Goodbye.
Goodbye. Wubba lubba.
Wubba lubba dub dub. Them Portal Boys be podcasting. Thank y'all for tuning in, for real.
Appreciate y'all.
Monkey mouth. Monkey mouth. Monkey mouth. Monkey mouth.